Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Iron Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, as DR Congo holds a funeral procession in memory of the man who wrote the score for Congolese rumba, Papa Wemba is also posthumously awarded his homeland's biggest honour, the Order of National Heroes. Also, more victims from a building collapse in Kenya are found. Over 20 people have now been confirmed dead. Though the rescue efforts continue, there are fears that that number could continue to rise. And we head into a Nigerian prison to meet some of the men undergoing a deradicalization program. Authorities are trying to turn them from their belief in the violent extremist ideology of Boko Haram. Well, a week after he collapsed on stage and then passed away, aged 66, Congo's Rumba King has been given his country's highest honour. At Parliament on Monday, Papa Wemba was made a Grand Officer of the Order of National Heroes, an award bestowed by President Joseph Kabila in recognition and thanks for the 4 decades the singer spent at the head of the nation's music scene. The ceremony followed a huge funeral procession in Papa Wemba's honour. Our correspondents were there.
After a life lived to the upbeat soundtrack of Congolese rumba, Papa Wemba is laid to rest to a very different sound. As the superstar's coffin enters the Palais du Peuple, the atmosphere is heavy. The singer's relatives are proud, but inconsolable.
I'm very, very moved. I didn't think it possible for someone to reach the heights he did. All the work he did for this country has made him into a national hero.
President Joseph Kabila wanted to be there. He officially made Papa Wemba a national hero, a posthumous decoration that everyone seems to agree on, but Kinshasa's artists are particularly moved.
Papa Wemba deserved this. He deserved to be honored in the Palais du Peuple, because it's not just for politicians, first and foremost, it's the palace of the people. I'm really happy about it, and I hope we will let the other artists here express themselves, because sometimes the politicians steal the limelight. But Papa Wemba brought people together.
Politicians from both the government and the opposition were present, but just for one day, tensions and divisions were set aside.
Whether it's the opposition, the government or civil society, the whole of the Congo has been deeply shaken. And when we talk about the Congo and its multicultural, musical and artistic representation, the country has no colour.
Not everyone was allowed inside, but thousands had gathered around the Palais du Peuple before the coffin was brought to the Molokai neighborhood, where people will be paying tribute all night.
Now, the death toll from the collapse of a multi-storey building in Nairobi rose to 21 on Monday, and rescue workers fear that that final toll could be much higher. Dozens of families were living at the site when the structure gave way during storms over the weekend. Officials had long known it wasn't fit for purpose.
Ever hopeful. People are still searching for survivors. Many were pulled out in the first few hours of the rescue operation after a residential building collapsed in Huruma, Nairobi on Friday. Monday, aid workers were still tirelessly searching despite dwindling odds of survival, and there were a few lucky people.
I just thank God, because finally my nephew picked up the phone. I found my wife and my children and they're safe at my friend's house. I helped save 5 people before I knew where my family was.
The structure had been condemned by authorities, and it's unclear why it was still occupied. 150 families lived there, most of them crammed into one-room flats. Police have charged the owner of the building, and he is due to appear in court. The governor of Nairobi said that officials who approved the construction of the building would be sacked. Nairobi and other Kenyan cities have seen at least 8 collapses like this over the last few years. A property boom has seen residential blocks shoot up around the country, with some developers suspected of paying little attention to construction regulations.
The unfortunate bit is that some of our people also go for people who are not qualified, who are claiming to be engineers. Some of the contractors might also be not qualified. If you look at these structures, the way they are, sometimes very difficult even to access, which means even our planning department of the Nairobi County might not even be aware of what is happening down here.
A recent audit found that 58% of buildings in the capital are uninhabitable and should be demolished.
Mali's President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta met with the French and German foreign ministers in Bamako on Monday to discuss national and regional security. The visitors reaffirmed the EU's support for Mali's fight against Islamist insurgents in the north. France's Operation Barkhane has deployed thousands of soldiers across the Sahel to help battle jihadist fighters. Germany said it's committed to training Mali's security forces, whilst France emphasised that peace talks between Bamako and Tuareg separatists are key to tackling religious extremism. Mali says progress on this front has been hampered by lawlessness.
After the difficult period of 2012, an agreement for peace and reconciliation was signed here in Mali. That agreement is now a reality, after significant and tangible progress was made. The only remaining obstacle regarding the implementation of this agreement is the continued activity of terrorist groups, drug traffickers, and criminal gangs.
As Nigeria continues its pushback against Boko Haram, thousands of members of the extremist group are being held in prisons in the north. Some are being put through programs of rehabilitation as authorities try to de-radicalize them so that their extreme views don't take hold amongst other inmates. Our correspondents tell us more.
Within these prison walls is a testing ground for a pioneering project. About 30 Boko Haram suspects are involved. This inmate has undergone months of de-radicalization counselling.
Last time we met, there have been like a week plus now. From that last week till now, I want to know how you have been feeling. Have you been sleeping well?
He claims to be a changed man.
I have benefited immensely from this program from the onset. When I first came, I would have nothing to do with women. I did not relate with staff or with people. I was withdrawn. But this program has made me realize that interacting with people is the best way to live.
Drug addiction is a prominent reason why people join Boko Haram.
I started taking Indian hand when I'm in SS1. That's 2009.
These men, who not so long ago thought that Western education is a sin, now participate in art therapy classes. A central tenet to the de-radicalization program is reteaching Islam. Specially trained imams challenge extremism with arguments from the Quran.
You have to give them hope. After giving them hope, you have to use substantial, superior evidence to counter their radical ideology.
The hope is that this program can be rolled out to thousands of former fighters in prisons here and even beyond Nigeria.
Senegal and Washington have signed a deal that allows for a permanent presence of US troops in the West African country. The defense accord will see American soldiers have access to key areas like airports and military installations in order to respond to security or health emergencies. Dakar's beefed up public security in light of the spate of deadly jihadist attacks that have hit neighbouring Burkina Faso and Ivory Coast. Finally, the King of Cats exploring a new kingdom. Dozens of lions rescued from circuses in Colombia and Peru have started their week exploring fresh territory after having been airlifted to South Africa. 33 of the big cats have arrived at the Emoya Sanctuary north of Johannesburg to start their new lives under the watchful eyes of conservationists there. Now, they've been sent over because the use of wild animals in circuses has been banned in their old homes in South America. Well, he said he hasn't been lying about. Well, that's it for Eye on Africa. Thanks very much for joining us, and please do so again if you can. Take care.
You love watching France 24 in English.
Analysis from France 24. I'm Mark Owen. These are the main world news.
To the border with Algeria.
Huge lines since this morning to answer that question. But France 24 is also available in French.
14h à Paris, bonjour à tous, bienvenue si vous nous rejoignez sur France 24 Paris.
And Arabic.
شعبية هذا الباب القادم من أمريكا الجنوبية في ازدياد.
Also coming up.
Featured on cable and satellite systems and online media in France and across the world.